We are on principle number 8, discussing emunah, and we got to number 5 on page 17. Emunah that unifies the paradox between free will and divine providence. Wow, this is a big one. So it's almost 2 pages here. So in this session, maybe we'll just read through, and then the next session we can discuss it. So, number 5. Emunah that it unifies the paradox between free will and divine providence. On the one hand, we have been given free will. On the other hand, everything in the world is being done by God. One aspect of emunah involves unifying the paradox between free will and divine providence. Having emunah that unifies free will and divine providence entails focusing on our free will when there is something that needs to be done, and then after the work has been done, recognizing the divine providence. Beforehand, the work is to believe that if I don't do it, it won't be done. Afterwards, the work is to believe that everything was done by God. There are those who say everything is in our hands. There are those who say God is doing everything. It is much easier to go according to one of these two extremes than it is to go the middle way. For example, there are people who don't go to a doctor when they are sick. They say everything is from God. How can a doctor help? If God wants to heal me, then God will heal me without a doctor. There are also people who say the opposite. If I don't go to the doctor, I won't be healed. The way of emunah is to unify both of these. This means going to a doctor when necessary, and afterwards thinking, it was not the doctor who healed me, it was God. In a similar situation in the future, the way of emunah is to go again to the doctor and know again that the healing didn't come from the doctor, but came from God. The same is true with regard to working for a living. For example, there are people who say, I don't need to get a job. If God wants me to have a livelihood, God will send me money regardless of whether or not I'm working. On the other hand, there are people who say the opposite. If I don't go to work, I won't have a livelihood. The way of emunah is to go to work and then afterwards say, even if I didn't go to work and sat in my house all day, if God wants me to have a livelihood, the money will come anyways. This way of emunah is beyond what our mind understands. The work of emunah also applies to our spiritual practice. Before performing the spiritual practice of a mitzvah, we are to have the perspective that it is up to us to do the work. Afterwards, we believe that God brought us close and that we did nothing on our own. Our ego, however, opposes this emunah from both directions. Before performing the spiritual practice of a mitzvah, our ego tries to keep us from working by saying, there's no reason to exert effort on this. Everything is from God and there is nothing for me to do. After overcoming that voice and performing a mitzvah, our ego then comes from the other direction, saying, it was all because of my effort that I succeeded. Emunah that unifies free will and divine providence is working with the perspective that everything that happened until now was done by God. From this moment on, I have the ability and responsibility to make the right decisions. Going this middle way between free will and divine providence is an aspect of the spiritual work of emunah that is very difficult because it transcends what our mind understands. Wow, so this is so deep. So we'll end for now and God willing discuss next time.